Hey guys, so here's the situation. Lost my pack. My canoe tipped over. Pack went downstream with the canoe. At any rate, here I am, alone. Other than the clothes on my back, and the few items that I've got in my survival kit that I keep on my hip, and my knife, that's all I have. Most people, when they get into this situation, they will panic. Fear starts to set in. Last video I spoke about the management of fear. If I don't start getting that fear under control, it will get the better of us. If it gets the better of us in a situation like this, things can start to go wrong really, really fast. If I start running, thinking that path that I need to be on is just around the corner, so I'm running thinking I'm going to get to that, and now all I've done is put myself deeper and deeper into the woods, deeper and deeper into whatever situation that I'm in. Now I have to stop, get my thoughts collected, get my breathing under control, because if it's a cold environment and I start to sweat, I have a chance of hypothermia starting to set in as the night continues to chill off. So if I stop, find a tree, find a stump that I can sit on, and just sit here and think, okay, have I been here? Does any of this look familiar? What do I need to do? Do I have a compass with me? Have I done some type of land navigation as I've come into the wilderness? If I have a GPS unit that I actually have still with me is going to be the key in this. Did I mark where I left the pack, or where base camp is? How far away is that as a place that I could walk to for safety? If all of that's off and I don't have any of that working for me, I need to stop, get my thoughts collected, and start taking stock in what I have. So we're going to do that now. Alright guys, so I've stopped now. I've started to take stock in what I have. Got my breathing rate to come down, started to let the gravity of this situation that I've now found myself kind of sink in a little bit. It's not terribly cold right now, but the nights in the area right now have been getting down around the 50s and the 60s. So shelter could start to be a high priority. I do have covering. I've got at least an outer shirt and an inner shirt. I also had in my back pocket a bandana, which I can use either as a head covering, or if I need to, I can make shelter with it. If I need to, I can also use this to filter out water with the water source that's behind me, which really isn't all the greatest. As I stop and I look around, I'm actually amazed at the amount of junk that I see laying around. There's a bucket over here, there's some cans over here, passed a few bottles as I was running into this area. So I have ways to get containers, so I can actually collect water from this very questionable water source that's behind me and boil water, so I can make sure that I don't have any type of bacteria, germs, cryptosporidium, giardia, anything like that that's in the water that's going to make my tummy very, very upset, potentially make me very sick, especially if this winds up being a long-term survival situation. Right now it's a short-term. Hopefully I can get myself out of here if I just start thinking about what I need to do. If I continue down that panicking mode, that just becomes a huge snowball, and the more and more I do that, the deeper and deeper I get myself into more trouble. Then I start to lose the will to live. Add in the occasional pop-up rainstorm. Now I'm cold, wet, and hungry, and don't have fire. Now I'm really in a lot of trouble. So I've at least got a cloth that I can do a few different things with. Bandana is a great thing to carry. You can go to just about any craft store, pick up a bandana, and probably even a 3-pack of them for about $1.99. Great things to have, either just tucked away in your pocket, especially a shirt like this. I've got extra pockets that I can put things in. So I can keep things that are small like that with me. Heck, I could even keep a small sheet of plastic tucked up in this jacket. Nobody would really ever even know that it's there, but yet I have it. Plastic can be huge in a situation like that. If I had some plastic and some cordage, which I actually have, I'm already halfway on my way to building a pretty decent shelter that will be waterproof, especially if it is in a very wet climate. So I have a knife with me. It's a cutting tool. It's one of the 5 C's. With the knife, I can use this to process down larger pieces of wood. I can baton with it, I can cut with it, I can collect game, I can build a shelter. There's a whole bunch of things that I can do with this. If I didn't have this with me, I would have to find some way to fashion some sort of a cutting tool here in the wilderness, maybe out of a piece of broken glass, out of a piece of flint, stone, whatever the case may be, old piece of metal, and just take and grind it off against some sort of stone or material, things of that nature. Having this is huge. I always want to have on my person, and what I mean by that is actually on my belt so I don't lose it, some version of a cutting tool. And that way I have this huge piece of the puzzle already with me. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down. The other thing that I have, ferrocenium rod. So I have a way with a good high carbon blade and a fire striker. Now I've got a way that I can procure fire and with that I now have a way to do a bunch of things. I now have a way to process game, collect firewood and process firewood down smaller so I actually have some tinder material. I have a way to then with that procure water, boil water, which now gives me the ability to hydrate myself. Having the addition of a ferrocenium rod is huge because that helps all of those situations. If I didn't have these two small pieces of gear with me, then I'm in pretty bad shape, because now I'm reduced to, can I make a fire bow? Can I get some sort of either natural cordage or use the shoelaces of my boots that I'm wearing as that cordage to help with the fire bow to make fire by friction? I could, if I had to, rub two sticks together, but that takes a lot of time and it also takes practice. All of those things I don't have right now. I need to get something going on now. The other thing that I have, paracord. This doesn't just give me the ability to have cordage to lash together some sort of a shelter or build a shelter should I find a piece of plastic, but also inside this I have 7 additional strands. This is good high quality parachute cord. Those 7 additional strands I can take and reduce those down. Now I've got ways, if I had them, and I do, fishing kit. Have fishing line, I can use this, make it into a version of bank line, something a bit stronger. That way I can collect game as I may be sleeping, throw a line out there, maybe a catfish comes along, some other fish grabs my bait in the middle of the night, wake up in the morning, have fish dinner. So I have 3 of the 5 C's right in front of me. I've got a cutting tool with the knife, got a fire rod, combustion device, and now I have cordage. With my jacket and with my bandana that I have there, I also have other ways to manufacture or make for me covering. So now I've got 4 of the 5 C's already right in front of me that I had on my hip as I came into the woods today. No matter what I had in my pack, if it's lost, it's gone. I don't have that option anymore. So this gives me the ability to have increased my chances of survival, all with some very simple items that I carry on my hip at all times. I have one of my survival packs here. The way that I manufactured these was with straps that buckle around, and that way makes your belt loops. As you just saw, I don't have to take my belt off to get to this. I can just undo it, pop the snaps off. That gives me the ability to get to any of the contents that I need right then and there. Inside this kit are 2 Altoid cans. Inside these Altoid cans are pretty much everything that I need for a 72-hour situation. I've got fire making kit, and I've got another kit that has additional cutting tools, some medicine should I get an upset tummy, pain meds, things of that nature, but more importantly I've got in this dry tinder to start a fire. I'm out here, it's kind of wet, we've had a lot of rain lately. I know it's going to rain at some point today, although the sky is pretty clear right now. I know at some point I've got to start thinking about shelter. I really need to start thinking about that now, because the last thing I want to do, like I said, it's down around 50 degrees at night right now. If it does rain and I get wet, whether I have a fire going or not, and if I can maintain that fire in a very wet environment, that might be questionable as well. But if I have covering, if I have some sort of a shelter built, I'm well ahead of the game, and then I can actually stay dry. I think that's going to be the next thing that I'm going to do here. Figure out exactly where I want to build a shelter. I'm real close to some swampy water here. There are gators in the area. Probably don't want to do that. So I'm probably going to start looking for a few things. Number one, I want to start looking for some dry wood if I can find it. Very punky wood would be good if I can find that. And get some fire materials collected. That way I can start building a fire. That way I have fire to boil water. And I've got fire to, if I can, catch a fish out of the lake behind me. That would be great. If I can find snakes, crawfish, which I've seen some of those in one of the creeks that I had passed by. All of those things I need to start thinking about. The other thing I need to start thinking about as well, identification of wild edible plants. Maybe as I came in, I had a granola bar in my pocket, but all in all, that thing's not going to last long. As I start doing more and more work, I start burning more and more calories. So I need to really start getting the situational awareness, seeing what I have, seeing what resources I've got in my immediate area, and that's what I'm going to start doing now. The items that I placed out before you, I'm going to give you a close-up of these guys, and this is all I've got to work with. This 72-hour scenario, lost hiker in the woods that I've kind of set up for you, I'm just going to go with what all is here on this piece of cloth and not have anything else. I've got a camera, obviously, so I'm getting a chance to talk to y'all. But beyond that, this is all I have. Alright guys, I wanted to give you a little bit of a closer view here. Again, I've got cordage, 550 cord, combustion device, ferrocerium rod, cutting tool, which is my Scout Woodsman knife. Good heavy blade, high carbon steel, all very good. Do need to oil them, it will rust, so we're going to have to keep that in mind as we go about our scenario here. So I've got those three things. Inside my tins here, I've got this one, which is set up as a fire kit. Inside here I do have a candle, an additional fire rod. I've actually got heavy gauge aluminum foil. Make sure you guys can see that. I talked to you earlier about container. With this heavy gauge aluminum foil, I can actually use that to fashion a container to boil some of this water that's behind me here. Like I said, it is questionable. Definitely don't want to risk drinking it just as it is. I will get sick, and I don't want to do that because I'm not sure how long I'm going to be out here yet. So I need to keep those type of things in mind. The other container, I've got some medications in here, a couple more cutting tools. I've got a fishing kit in this container as well. I've got a couple bouillon cubes, packets of bouillon, band-aids, tincture of iodine, so I've got the ways if I do get cut, I can manage that injury should I get one. The other thing you'll see here on my wrist, got a watch with a built-in compass, so I can start to get some land navigation skills going. I also have got a bracelet with a fire striker on the back as well. Let's say I, for whatever reason, lost this kit. If I've lost that, and that was my only source of fire making, and now that's gone, I need to think about plan B. And this wristband that I have is plan B. It will do the exact same thing for me. It's got a small fire steel on there. I can get fire going with that, and I've got jute twine, which is great natural dry tinder. So those are what I have on my person at this time.